At this point, League's been around for over 15 years, and we've seen everything, man. Broken items, weird interactions, busted champs, and a bunch of stuff that should have never even existed in the first place. Like it or not, these mechanics shaped League into the game we know today. In this video, I'm gonna talk about the most broken champions in League history. So let's get into it. Starting with Twisted Fate.
Lady Luck is smiling.
This one goes way back to the ancient times of League, somewhere around 2009 during the League beta. To give you an idea, his ultimate back then was actually his E, and it was truly global. It had an insanely low cooldown, something like 15 seconds. His Q scaled for almost 100% of his AP, and basically had no cooldown. The blue card let him cast his W again, the red card slowed way more and reduced attack speed, and the yellow card stunned for about 2 seconds, while dealing ridiculous damage. And in my opinion, the most broken part of all, his passive gave extra gold not only to him, also to his entire team for every kill. The dude was a complete menace. Just so you understand how busted that was, Riot literally had to disable Twisted Fate during the beta for a few days. And when he came back, everything was nerfed. He had way less damage on his ult, less Q damage, his passive got cut in half, and he got a shorter stun duration on the gold card, and his E was completely reworked. And here's a fun fact, the famous emergency hotfix only exists because of Twisted Fate. Akali.
You're scared. Good to know.
Now, this one, I'm pretty sure most of you remember well. Back in 2018, Akali got a full rework, and with it came one of the darkest eras in League history. Pretty quickly, Akali became pick or ban in solo queue and pro play. At one point, she had over an 80% ban rate in solo queue. Her kit overall was kind of similar to what we have now, but her W, that little smoke thing that makes her invisible, gave her true invisibility. That meant she could dive you under turret and not even take turret shots, since she could just reset aggro with W. Riot tried to balance Akali in every way possible. She got like 20 nerfs in a row before they finally gave her a mini rework. They completely removed her invisibility under turrets, reduced her sustain, nerfed her burst damage, destroyed her passive and ability resets, and ever since then, Akali stopped being the most broken champ in League. Now she's kind of that champ that's not bad, not too good either. If you know how to play her properly, she still works. Aphelios. Here's a champion that honestly, not even Riot seemed to fully understand when he came out. A champion that feels like a college exam. One that you basically need a manual to play. And the best part, he's an ADC. So even his support has to learn how he works. When Aphelios was revealed, the marketing pitch was something like an ADC with 5 different weapons, each with its own unique ability, a custom ability HUD, and weapons that automatically switch over time. In theory, it sounded super innovative, but in practice, it was just extremely confusing. And it was probably that confusion that led to Aphelios being completely busted on release. With his green weapon, he had infinite poke and insane rate. With his red one, he had ridiculous sustain, healing more than Soraka. The purple weapon was actually pretty solid, with that targeted route that could hit multiple enemies, and was fired through basic attacks. Then there was the Chakram, which made him straight up impossible to fight in melee range. But the craziest one by far was Infernum. If you look something up like Aphelios realized pentakill montage, you'll see him using Infernum on the entire enemy team and just melting everyone. It literally didn't make sense that Riot approved that, because the damage was absurd. Every game had an Aphelios getting a triple, quadra, or pentakill, and on top of that, he could pull off some insane combos, sometimes ending a team fight in just 2 auto attacks. He could poke, heal, control fights, all without aiming or relying on skill shots. He was 100% pick or ban rate, sitting above 55% win rate, and clips of him getting pentas were popping up everywhere. Yuumi.
Where's my fishy, fishy fish for my dishy, dishy dish?
It might sound weird, but besides being one of the most hated champions ever, Yuumi was also one of the most broken ones. Back in 2019, when the Chubby Cat came out, she had a win rate above 57%, healing ridiculous amounts with her E, her R, her passive, basically everything. On top of that, her Q did a ton of damage. Her ultimate healed, gave shields to allies, slowed and damaged enemies, and even rooted them. But what really made this champion so hated were her synergies. Yuumi plus Master Yi, Yuumi plus Garen, or Yuumi plus Vladimir was completely anti-fun. It was literally a full build carry with a backpack, giving him 6 extra items worth of healing, shields, and infinite movement speed. And you didn't even need any real skill to play her. You just attach to someone and start mashing your keyboard like ooga booga. After tons of nerfs that were slowly killing her, Riot decided to give her a mini rework in 2023, which pretty much buried the champion for good. Nowadays, when you see a Yuumi on your team, it's more a disappointment than anything else, even though she's still kind of annoying when she's invulnerable inside of another champion. Mordekaiser.
Let the screams begin.
Before his 2019 rework, Mordekaiser was a completely different champion. More of a tanky mage that could take insane amounts of damage. His old passive was a shield that stacked up as you dealt damage, but not like his current one. It was an automatic shield that kept growing while you were fighting, basically acting like a second health bar. It wasn't uncommon to see a Mordekaiser doing a 1v5 in the enemy jungle back then just because of that passive. His Q was 3 heavy hits that hurt a lot. His W was basically like his current passive, but it also healed Mordekaiser for a percentage of the damage dealt. And the cherry on top, his R. Oh man, his R. You'd curse an enemy target, dealing damage over time for a few seconds while healing yourself for a part of it. But the craziest thing was what happened when the target died while cursed. Mordekaiser would literally steal that champion's soul and start using it as a pet, kind of like Yorick's maiden. And yeah, Mordekaiser could even do that with the dragon, man. It was insane. He'd also get a part of the gold and XP that the ghost earned. It was basically like having an extra champion on your team. Only the people who played back then know how fun that was. That Mordekaiser plus dragon combo became one of the most feared and loved combos in Season 5. One of the most popular strategies at that time went like this. Mordekaiser ADC with a support that could help push lane and provide peel. You'd rush level 6 as fast as possible, take the first dragon, steal its soul, and march straight down mid as long as you could. If the game didn't end there, you just repeat the process with the next dragon until it turned into a GG dragon diff. In 2015, Mordekaiser actually had the highest average damage per game, even while being played bot. The guy was unbelievably broken, you have no idea. In one of the patches around that time, Riot even said Mordekaiser and the dragon are working a little too well together. They tried lowering the dragon's damage, reducing the ghost duration from his ult, even preventing the dragon from leaving the pit, but nothing really worked. So in 2019, they finally decided to end it for good and gave him a full rework, leaving the dragon pet only in the memories of old players. Rest in peace, Ghost Dragon. Kassadin.
Your magic is powerless against me.
Back in 2013 and 2014, between Season 3 and 4, League had this crazy meta full of fragile little mages. The map had way less vision and mobility was super rare, which made Kassadin completely dominate the map. The guy would leave his lane at 6 minutes and come back with like 70 kills after farming his jungler and bot lane like they were minions. But what exactly made him that strong? Kassadin's kit was basically made to break the game. Check this out. His passive reduced all magic damage taken by 15% and gave him bonus movement speed every time he got hit with an ability, making him pretty much unstoppable in any trait. His Q did insane damage and it silenced the target up for 2 freaking seconds. It was literally a burst plus silence, point and click with a low cooldown. His W was kind of similar to the current one, giving bonus AP damage and restoring mana on basic attacks for a few seconds, but obviously with way higher numbers, sometimes doing more than double the damage it does today. His R was basically the same as now, but with more damage. And remember, the map back then was smaller and darker, so Kassadin would just roam up and down ridiculously fast. Give him a blue buff and a Seraph's Embrace, and it was GG. Even back then, Kassadin was considered a late game champion because he was weak early, but all he needed was to hit level 6 to basically turn into a mini god. And that's just talking about solo queue. But even in pro play, he was absolutely busted. In the 2013 Worlds quarterfinals, Kassadin showed up as a true monster in competitive play when Cloud9 refused to ban Kassadin in the 3rd game, even after getting stomped by one in game 1. That moment ended up creating the legendary community meme Ban Kassadin. For almost 2 whole years, Kassadin had a ban rate over 95% in high elo solo queue and in competitive play. He was so insane that he was perma-banned in pro matches for months, and whenever he was slipped through, it was usually a guaranteed win. After tons of pressure from players for Riot to do something about this walking disaster, they started rolling out a brutal wave of nerfs. They slowly reduced the silence duration on his Q until they removed it completely, deleted the movement speed from his passive, increased the mana cost of his R, both the base and the stacking costs, and removed his ridiculous base damage. They basically reworked his E too, making it more situational instead of something you could just spam non-stop like before. With all of that, and with overall meta changes like the new map, the release of more mobile champions, and adjustments to scaling, Kassadin stopped being the god of mid lane and turned into a much more situational pick, with low pick and ban rates. These days, he's kind of forgotten by both Riot and the community, but he still left a huge legacy. Even after being nerfed into the ground, Kassadin is still seen as an ultimate late game scaler, and the meme "Don't let Kassadin reach level 16" is still alive to this day. Viego.
Oh, mist, get out of my lungs, I command
In
you!
2021, we got one of the most questionable events Riot has ever made, but at the same time, one of the most insane champion releases in League history. Released in January 2021, right from the very first patch, Viego instantly became the definition definition of bug. The dude was absolutely broken. Like, the concept of a champion itself was actually really cool and fun to play, but at launch, it was just so bugged and so overpowered that sometimes Viego would literally turn into a turret. There were bugs with infinite damage and all kinds of nonsense. But even without the bugs, the champ was already busted as hell. His Q was insane. It dealt hybrid damage. And even though he was still designed to be a jungler, his sustain was so ridiculous that he became meta in literally any lane. That infinite reset from his passive, combined from the massive healing based on max HP every time he possessed someone, made it so the entire enemy team would just die one by one while Viego stayed full HP. Like, imagine any other champ diving into 5 people just to kill one and then die. Now, imagine Viego doing the same thing, but after killing the first one, he becomes invulnerable, heals to full, and gets all his cooldowns back, including his ultimate. He was a pick or ban in every single game mode, even in competitive. His win rate was over 55%, and unlike other champs that only get high win rates because 2 pros are abusing them, Viego was overperforming with everyone, which was not a good sign. On top of that, there were tons of bugs involving his passive and how it interacted with other champions and items. There were Viegos getting stuck inside of dead champions' bodies for the rest of the game. There were bugs where his items turned into the items of the enemies he possessed. In some matches, enemy ultimates would just stay on Viego's team permanently, like an endless Tibbers or a permanent Daisy. There were bugs where he could one-shot turrets, summon infinite Azir towers, remove Flash's cooldown, or even teleport all over the map. Dude completely broke the game. It was insane. Because of all that, Riot had to disable him multiple times. Just in 2021 alone, Viego was disabled 3 separate times, always for different bugs. But after tons of community complaints, and rightfully so, Riot ended up nerfing him hard and fixing almost all of the bugs. They massively reduced his passive healing, removed his healing on minions, which took him out of solo lanes, lowered the base damage on all of his abilities, and limited several unique interactions. So now, the champion's way more balanced compared to that disaster of a release. Riven.
My spirit is not lost.
Since her release back in 2011, Riven has always been one of those champions that really demands mechanics to play well. Because, like, sure, you could do the basics with any champion, but mastering Riven is insanely hard. Still, there were some periods, especially between Season 2 and Season 5, when she was just completely broken. Pretty much all of her abilities had cancelable animations, which meant her combos could be insanely fast and complex. And the synergy between her abilities and those combos created the infinite loop of damage and movement. Skilled players like BoxBox and Adrian Riven proved that she could solo carry entire games no problem at all. During Season 3 and 4, Riven was picked or banned in like 90% of games from Diamond rank and up, because even in high elo, she was known as a straight up 1v9 champion. And for some reason, Riot even decided to buff her a few times, which obviously just made her even more ridiculous. Literally any small tweak to her numbers would make her dominate the entire competitive scene. And even when she got nerfed, Riot mains always found a way to break the game again. And just like a few others on the list, Riot also got disabled several times from being way too broken. The animation cancel interactions with items or enemy abilities would often bug out matches pretty hard. Not as bad as Viego, of course, but still enough to give players both laughs and some serious tilt. Actually, thanks to that golden era of Riven, the Riven Challenge was created, a competition to see who could pull off her combos the fastest. But for better or worse, she's not the monster she used to be anymore. Anyways, that's basically it. See you guys in the next video.